get this party started. We appreciate you guys joining. Thank you again for joining J&B Live. We're gonna, as Doc B said, the title of today's story is Sex and Power. Who's really in control? Right. Who's turning the key? You know, that's the real question. The spark of power and attraction.
Okay, guys, welcome back to the J&B Live podcast. Thank you guys for joining us. Today we're going to turn up the heat just a bit more. We're going to turn it up way up. We're talking about sex and power. What you think, Broker J3?
This one's been coming, you know, for a minute now. It's in the air. It's in our DMs. And let's be honest, guys. It's everywhere. So who really holds the power when it comes to sex?
Yeah, okay. Is it the person that makes the first move? Or is it the one who says yes or no? You know what we say. You know how it goes.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it, guys. So shout out to our listeners. Y'all got, tap that screen, send those gifts if you appreciate our live content. Thank you. Soapbox 33, Tara K. Thank you, guys. We appreciate your support.
All right, thank you, guys. We appreciate it. We're going to go ahead and jump into the natural flow scenario. Kind of give you guys intake on what we're talking about in regards to sex and power.
So you guys, when you walk into a room, when someone walks into a room, you can tell it's that vibe, and then all of the attention shifts. Maybe it's that person's look, maybe it's their energy, maybe it's just the way that they carry themselves. And I can speak for, when a man walks into a room, and Broker J3 can speak to when a woman walks in the room. But you have to think about it. Who's got the power in that particular case?
Exactly right. Like, you ever been caught up just by someone looking at you a certain way? They give you that certain look, kind of like, they want to talk to you or want to get to know you. But that doesn't mean that they're in control. Sometimes it's the one receiving the attention who sets the rules. Have you ever experienced that, Doc B?
Yes, I have. And the key to it is when a person walks into the room, some people command attention.
Yes, they do.
But it's how you react to that certain situation. So we're going to get into all of that in a little bit. Okay, so say for instance, listeners, you're out at one of your favorite lounge, your favorite bar or whatever, and somebody that you find attractive just walks up. That person is just confident. He or she says all the right things, but you're not moved until you decide to engage with that person. Okay, in that particular case, who has the real power?
I can tell you who has the real power in that particular situation. It's the person. It's the person who chooses to engage. If someone comes in and they're saying all the right things, making all the right moves, but you're not engaging, you still have the power. Now, if you succumb to those nice words that they're saying, or how they look, or they smell, or whatever, then they have the power. Okay. Guys, drop us a comment. It really means a lot to us. Who has the first move energy? Who usually sets the tone in relationships, guys? If answer that question for us, put in there who you guys think has that first move energy. Who sets the tone in the relationship? Okay. We'd like to see what you guys think, guys.
Okay, so chime in on us. We want to know what you think, Pinky. We want to know what you think, Terrion. Let us know what you guys are thinking. So shout out to Tamika from New Orleans. Okay, she said power starts with presence, not words. In other words, that person's presence speaks volumes. Girl, come on now. Okay, so when sex becomes a transaction, what should you do?
That's what we call power plays, Doc B.
Yeah, power play.
That's definitely a power play. Let's take it a step deeper. Sometimes sex becomes a form of leverage, a reward or punishment or a trade-off.
Yes, it does. And I know some women out there that have used sex before, probably as a punishment. You get mad at your man and you ain't having it. I've seen it too many times. It's happened in real life. I've seen it on the TV, on different shows and stuff, but it does happen. But let's talk about that, okay?
Like example, like sex was a reward.
Yeah.
What if your man done did something good, and you just feel like you want to give him some, or if that woman, you know, came home and she done cooked your favorite meal, you know, got that bath ready for you, you know, all of those things, mean something, you know, so you guys have to think about that as well.
Yes. Okay, guys. So we've seen folks who weaponize sex. If you don't do this, don't expect this. Some women use that all the time. Men do too. But that is not intimacy. That's manipulation. That's getting your way. A way of getting your way.
Yeah, exactly. And me and Dr. B have talked about this plenty of times before, guys. You know, and she just mentioned it. You never use sex, you know, as a weapon in a relationship. You know, if you guys cannot necessarily agree to disagree, that don't mean that you hold back affection or loving from that person because you know y'all didn't agree on something. You know, that's not good, and that can actually cause major problems in a relationship. So you guys, we always talk about that. Stay away from that. Weaponizing that sex is definitely not a good thing.
All right, Kevin Conway, what do you think? What do you think, Papa? Tell us what you guys are thinking. But take this for example, guys. Say your partner only wants to get close when they want something. Like attention. Like they want you to give them some money. Or they want you to remain silent. You start noticing a pattern. Now what? What happens next?
You know what happens? It becomes a game then. You know, because if you hold out, you know, I control the vibe.
Yeah.
But when it turns into a strategy,
good evening,
instead of honesty, the love fades real quick, guys. You know, let's be real, fades real quick. You know, that's why you never want to play games, you know, when it comes down to relationships. All right, audience, let me ask you this question. Have you ever had to earn love or sex in a relationship? You know, drop a message in the comments. Let us know we're listening. Have you ever had to earn love or sex in a relationship? Go ahead, guys. Go ahead and drop that in the comments.
All right, Pop Tart. Hi, how are you doing? He said good evening. Good evening to you as well. Go ahead, guys. Drop us a comment and let us know what you guys are thinking. Have you ever been caught up and have been in that particular situation before?
Exactly. Have you ever had to earn love or sex in a relationship? Go ahead and chime in, guys. We love to hear it from you.
Yes, we would. Okay, big love to David from Philly. He said, I used to play the game until I realized I was being played. So, okay, growth is real, brother. That's what you have to do. You learn. You learn in the game.
Exactly. And you know, a long time ago, you know, they used to always talk about the guys are master of the game, but you know, times have changed. You know, these women, you know, they I think they'll surpass guys when it comes down to the game.
They have learned the game as well.
They tight on that game, guys. Now, all right, what we're going to talk about right now is in the bedroom. All right, in the bedroom, who's calling the shots? That's what we want to know.
Yes,
who's calling the shots in the bedroom, guys? Now let's shift the light to something spicy. You know what I'm saying? Dominance or submission. When we talk about power and sex, it's not always about control, it's about agreement, right?
Okay, folks, so some of you, power in the bedroom is a part of the pleasure, but here's the key, people. Let's keep it real. Both people have to agree on what you're going to do in the bedroom. There's got to be trust, safety, and communication. You have to communicate your needs.
Exactly,
okay?
Exactly. Now imagine if you're with someone who likes to take charge in bed. You know, at first it's exciting, you know, especially if it's something new for you. Then it starts to cross the lines a little bit because it's like, how do you speak up without shutting things down?
Yes.
You know, and I think, you know, guys, you know, like, let's be real. You know, sometimes when you're trying different things, especially in the bedroom, you know, sometimes something might seem very interesting, like, oh, this is something new. Never tried this before, sure. Then what if it becomes a pattern?
Yeah.
What if that person requires that in order to have a good time while having sex? That may not be a good thing. So how do you speak up about that without, you know, shutting things down completely down?
Yes. In other words, your partner has to be in agreement because there's got to be trust, safety, and communication. You have to communicate those needs. We know we have to do this. Thank you, J7, for joining us Fran Cran, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you guys. Enrique Ramirez, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you guys. We also have Willy Wonka. Thank you for joining us.
Where the candy at?
I know, that's one of my favorite candies.
All right, guys. Remember, there's strength in knowing your limits and power in expressing them. Okay.
Yes, and power doesn't mean force. It means respect. You have to respect one another, guys.
Exactly.
Okay, now I have a challenge for you guys. Now I need you guys to chime in and add some comments. What's your bedroom boundary that you've learned to speak up about? Okay, if you post that, you can send it to us. We'll share it anonymously. And we'll answer during the break if we need to, guys.
Yeah, now if you don't mind sharing, go ahead and share.
Thank you, Leo, for joining us. Shamir, thank you for joining us. Wheezy, thank you for joining us as well. Thank you, guys. Much love to you guys for being a part of the JMB family. We need you guys to chime in and let us know exactly what you guys are thinking.
Yeah, okay? What's your bedroom boundary, guys? Let us know. Okay. What's your bedroom boundary that you've learned to speak up about, It doesn't matter what it is. Are you one of the people that don't like to be kissed during sex? You one of the people that don't like to be touched? I know a lot of guys, they don't like to be touched on their butts while having sex. Hey, it's different for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. All right. Shout out to Lindsay from Houston. Okay. She said, I've learned that telling someone slow down doesn't make me weak. It makes me wise. That's a word. Now, hey, I got that. Everybody.
Communication.
Exactly. Especially some of them young guys being jackrabbits. They got to learn to slow down a little bit.
Yes,
nothing wrong with that.
Yes, they do. Okay, guys. Next, we want to talk about the fame factor. Feeling like you're obligated to go on a date with somebody or have sex with that person because of their status or because of their money. You have to learn how to set boundaries there as well. So we're going to talk about people who buy power. I'm talking fame, money, status, and how that gives them influence in romantic and sexual spaces.
Yeah, now we know that very well, Doc B, and we actually touched on it before. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people out there that they have money, and they have very good jobs or very great careers, and they're making a lot of money. So a lot of times those people feel that they're empowered, especially when they're in situations, relationships, and so forth like that, even sexually, because they feel like, hey, I got the money, I got the power, I want you to do it like this. If you don't do it like this, I go find somebody who will, and that's not good, you know what I'm saying? But a lot of times that money and that power, it gives influence in those romantic and, sexual spaces. Let's be real. You heard that term, doing something strange for a little change. A lot of people tend to do that, but that's what it is.
And a lot of people feel like because of that clout, because of who they are, who wouldn't want to sleep with them? In other words, they think that you're doing them a favor, and they actually make you feel about that. And so, if that is how they feel, they can project those feelings on you.
Exactly.
So you have to be careful.
And again, some people use that clout as a magnet. They walk into a room and folks just give them immediate access. Immediate.
Mm-hmm. But they think they have access to everyone, even the people that are in the room.
Exactly. But is that attraction or is it pressure?
Yeah. Okay, guys. So thank you, Gray H, Red Pill, Devontae Johnson. Thank you guys for joining us and being a part of the JMB family. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate you. Okay, guys, I'm going to give you a scenario. Okay, say for instance you're dating someone who has money and influence. They treat you well, but they expect for you to play your part. No questions. In other words, you just do what they want you to do. Are you in love or in a contract?
Now that's a real good one right there, because you have to actually you have to think about yourself. If you're in a relationship with somebody that has money, and then they probably got some influence, especially if they got money, if they treat you well, that's something that you should take in consideration, all the time. Are you in love with them, or is it a contract? That's really based on you. Do you love that person? You know, you already recognize that they treat you well. They have a lot of money, but they treat you well. So it could be love there. So, you know, it really depends on how you perceive that particular person in your life.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mary Boo, for joining us. Thank you, Positive Vibes, as well. We appreciate you guys. Thank you. Appreciate your support. Now, that's kind of that power is actually quiet. It's not anything that I consider heavy. But you start to feel like you owe something. And that's when you need to check yourself, and decide if that type of relationship is for you.
Yeah, that's true too, because, you know, sometimes when you're in a situation like that, most of the time those are the people that are in a situation where somebody has a lot of money, and that person is basically doing everything for them. You know,
they feel like they owe them.
Paying the bills, you know, taking care of them, you know, everything, basically everything monetary is being taken care of by them.
Yeah, that's true. Now, you have to admit, and I have to admit, that some people are comfortable with those type of relationships.
Exactly.
Some people are. But, you know, are you selling your soul, you know, for that type of relationship because that person is paying the bills? Maybe, if that's something that you want. I don't knock what anybody does, but you have to think about things long term as well, if that's something that you want to do long term.
Exactly. See, the real question is, have you ever felt stuck in a relationship because of what the other person had, not who they were?
Yeah.
Put that in the chat, guys. Answer that question for me real quick. Have you ever felt stuck in a relationship because of what the other person had and not who they were?
Yeah. So you value what they had. You value how they treated you. You valued the money or whatever, the clout or whatever they had. And so you stayed in that relationship knowing that you were not happy. Yeah. So that's a tough question.
Exactly.
And I want you guys to chime in and answer that question. Okay. Shout out to those who have joined us, who have just tuned in. Thank you guys, Merlene, for joining us. Janet Duff, thank you for joining us, and Kenny. Okay. Shout out to Rico from Vegas. He said, I thought dating someone with money would be easy, but I had to buy back my voice. In other words, that person, he didn't have a voice. Now that's real talk. And it's a lot of women now that are buying things from men. They're the cougars, and they take care of men. So, you know, that can happen as well. It can go both ways.
And don't get it twisted, because, you know, in today's time, let's be real, you know, it's a lot of things are rough for a lot of people. So, you know, you may have that guy out there that may have just lost his job, going through some things right now, struggling, and then he might meet this woman. He might not be ready to be in a relationship, but this woman is looking for him, and she's checking him, and she's gonna want to do this, and she want to do that for him. She want to take care of him. You know, now at first, you know, he may feel like, okay, well, now I got a little comfort. You know, I got somebody looking out for me while I'm going through a bad time. But at the same time, if that person tells you to do this or do that, you know, do you have to do it? You know, if you was in a better situation, would you do it? You know, or do you feel like you got no choice because they're taking care of you?
They're taking care of you. You're stuck. You're stuck in that type of relationship.
Exactly.
Yes. So now we're going to talk about taking back your power back. That when it comes to sex and different boundaries and your freedom.
Exactly. So we're going to keep that moving. So if you have been silenced, you know, pushed or pressured, you know, you are in the right place here with J&B Live Podcast. You know, let me tell you why. You have the right to take your power back at any time. Whether it's saying no, changing your mind, or just standing firm. You're not difficult. You're powerful. Okay.
All right. That was easy. Thank you for your gift. We appreciate you. Thank you, P. Hunter, for joining us. Thank you guys for joining us. Those who are just not joining in. Thank you, Lisa. We got a powerful topic. We're talking about power and sex. Who's in control? Who's actually in control, guys? We're going to keep this moving.
All right.
So guys, you don't need permission to protect yourself. You don't owe anyone access to your body. This is what we were talking about. You may be in a situation where that person is taking care of you. So in return, you're supposed to just do whatever that person tells you to do. But you don't owe anyone access to your body. This is your birthright.
Exactly. Because you're with someone you like, but they're always pushing you to go further than you want. You said no, but they keep asking. So what is your next move? Like Doc B said, you don't need permission to protect yourself.
No.
You don't owe nobody access to your body. That's your birthright.
Yes, that is true. That is true. So guys, we're gonna keep this thing going.
So guys, let me ask you this question then. Like Doc B said, we're gonna keep it going. What advice would you give your younger self about sex and power? Leave us a message. Let's go ahead and share and grow together, guys. Drop it in the chat right now and let us know what advice would you give your younger self about sex and power? Go ahead and put it in the comments, guys.
Yeah, thank you, Terrence Spencer, for joining us. Bonnie Queso, we appreciate you guys joining us. Tiara Brown, thank you guys for joining us this evening. Go ahead and add the type of advice that you would give to yourself, your younger self, about sex and power. We would appreciate you guys chiming in and letting us know exactly what you guys think. Okay, we need that. We need those comments so that we can share that information with other viewers on the podcast. It's all about empowering each other. We're learning, and we want you to share some of your experiences with others. Okay.
Oh, look like Nia from Memphis is saying something.
Okay. Nia says, I found peace when I stopped giving away pieces of me to people who didn't respect me.
Whoa.
That's deep. Now that's deep.
Whoa.
Yes.
Whoa.
Oh wow.
Now that's Nia. Shout out. I mean, she said. Let me repeat that. She said she found peace. When she stopped giving away pieces of herself to people that did not respect her.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because some people will, guess what? They will take until you, or they will take everything that you have and give nothing in return. And see, that's the key to some of that is sometimes people can take, and they don't love you. You think they love you, but they actually don't. So you have to be careful with that. But that is a powerful statement. When you only find peace when you stop giving away pieces of yourself. Exactly.
So guys, we done talked about, the sparks, what get everything, going. We done talked about those power moves, and we done talked about the pain of it all. But at the core, it's about truth. Know your own worth, own your yes, and protect your no.
Yes, it's okay to say no. Your body is not a bargaining chip. Your love is not a transaction, and your power, that's yours to keep, no one else's.
Exactly. And guys, if this episode, lit something inside of you, pass it on, share it with your friends or somebody that may have needed to listen to tonight's episode.
Yes.
Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Threads, and X. We're out there on all social media. Yes. Just look for us with Live with J&B, or you can look for us with J&B Live Podcast.
Yes.
Like, share, comment. Share the truth with everybody. And guys, for some of you out there, remember YouTube is always our main channel that we want you guys to go to get all of our great content. If you're unable to go to YouTube or to watch, our great podcast, you can always listen to us wherever you get your podcast from, whether it be Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, wherever you get your podcasts, we're there at J&B Live Podcast.
Okay, guys. I see White Blizzard, Baddie Only. Thank you guys. Magic, I cannot thank you enough for your support, for your continued support. There have been some of you who have been with us from day one, and you're our ride or die, and we do appreciate it. Don't think for a minute that your joining us on this podcast goes unnoticed. We may not get a chance to respond to every comment, especially after the fact, but we know you're here. We see you. And so we thank you guys. We appreciate it. Much love to you. And thank you for your continued support.
Exactly, guys. As Doc B says, it never goes unnoticed.
Yes.
We'll appreciate all the love. We appreciate you guys
Yes,
constantly
the gifts,
tapping the stream during the
sharing the
podcast,
content.
sending
Yeah.
those gifts. We really appreciate it. We thank you guys so much for all your support, everything that you do for JMB Live Podcast.
Yes.
Again, we do have some promos coming up soon that we talked about. We're getting them ready to put out. You guys should start seeing them within the next 2 weeks. So for some of our dedicated subscribers, please subscribe to our specialty
Yes.
subscriptions on TikTok and Bigo. We have some extra stuff for some of you guys that want a little more from JMB Live other than what you get from our podcast. Remember to subscribe to those for additional content. We really appreciate it. Every little bit counts.
Every little bit helps. And if you subscribe, see, when we go live, you should get a notification that says we're live. That's why we need you to subscribe. We want you to share it too, because if you know someone that missed one of the episodes, you can just share it with them. Or if you need it, you can go back and look at it again once you've subscribed as well. You'll always have access to our content.
Exactly. And guys, we appreciate you joining us today.
Yes, much love to you.
A lot of times say it's short, but it's sweet. We know it was only 30 minutes, but
Yes.
we appreciate you guys for joining us today. And as always, thank you. Much love from JMB Live. I'm Broker J3.
And I'm Dr. B. Thank you, guys.
And let's talk about it.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for your support. We really appreciate it.